Could everybody please be seated? We're going to start in a couple minutes. And squish together. We sold out. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Bay Area Secular Solstice. It's on the actual solstice this year. Welcome to our local friends and to friends who have traveled here from far and wide, and to everyone on the live stream all around the world, and to the kids in the kids' room. Hi, Vasily. I told you your Baba would be a famous person on YouTube someday. Welcome to all the people with whom I've been sharing Secular Solstice for years, and to people who normally attend other solstices, and a very special welcome to everyone for whom this is their first solstice. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here. Throughout most of human history, winter was one of the most dangerous times for everyone. If we ran out of food, we would starve. If we had inadequate clothing or shelter, we would freeze. In cities, epidemics sometimes spread in the winter, as people huddled closer together. It's traditional at this point to say that winter solstice is historically a default holiday, where people celebrate the moment that winter starts to go away. I've always been kind of skeptical of this, and certainly lots of cultures in temperate and Arctic climates don't celebrate the winter solstice. But I do think it's true that a lot of cultures looked at this season of dreariness and death and came up with an excuse to join together as a community, to put on nice clothes and feast and share stories and sing and decorate their homes with color and light. Max Roser, the founder of Our World in Data, my favorite website, says the most important facts about the world are these. The world is awful. The world is much better. The world can be much better. The world is awful. Globally, 1 in 25 children die before they're 15 years old. The world is much better. Through most of human history, until the 19th century, about half of all children died before they were 15. The world can be much better. If all children were as well off as children in the European Union are today, only 1 in 200 children would die before they're 15. I and a lot of people in this room tonight would add a fourth fact. The world is in danger. We face a number of threats our ancestors couldn't have imagined. Nuclear war, bioengineered pandemics, artificial intelligence, new threats we haven't dreamed of. If we fail, and there's every chance we might, 100% of the children will die, and so will everyone else. Unlike our ancestors, most of us watching this have no need to fear starvation, exposure, or smallpox. But we have our own fears. And our winter solstice is also about responding to them by joining together as a community to put on nice clothes and feast and share stories and sing and fill our world with color and light. Please do sing. Most of the songs are sing-alongs, and the lyrics will be projected up here. I know you're worried you can't, but I can't sing it all. And every year, people come up to me all, "It was so great to see you singing along in the audience. You're so enthusiastic." So I think the standards are low. This is a long solstice. The dress rehearsal clocked in at almost 2.5 hours. So please feel free to get up and stretch your legs or go to the bathroom if you need to. Try to get up in the transition between pieces. Our next song will be a celebration of one of the coolest things we as a society have done together.
Prometheus, they say, brought God's fire down to man, and we've caught it, tamed it, trained it since our history began. Now we're going back to heaven just to look him in the eye, and there's a thunder across the land and a fire in the sky. Gagarin was the first back in 1961, when like Icarus undaunted, he climbed to reach the sun. And he knew he might not make it, for it's never hard to die. But he lifted off the pad and wrote a fire in the sky. Yet a higher goal was calling, and we vowed to reach it soon. And we gave ourselves a decade to put fire on the moon. And Apollo told the world, we can do it if we try. There was one small step and a fire in the sky. Then 2 decades from Gagarin, 20 years to the day, came a shuttle named Columbia to open up the way. And they said she's just a truck, but she's a truck that's aiming high. See her big jets burning, see her fire in the sky. Yet the gods do not give lightly of the powers they have made. And with Challenger and Seven, once again the price is paid. Though a nation watched her falling, yet a world could only cry as they passed from us to glory, riding fire in the sky. Now the rest is up to us, there is a future to be won. We must turn our faces outward, we will do what must be done. For no cradle lasts forever, every bird must learn to fly. And we're going to the stars, see our fire in the sky. Yes, we're going to the stars, see our fire in the sky. I'll remember until I die, a fire in the sky, a fire.
Sometimes I imagine my ancestors watching me, full of glee about my unimaginable wealth. I can press a button to be warm in the winter. Nice clothes cost half a day's wages and not half a year's work. I have never in my life used a drop spindle. I don't have to eat potatoes, and yet sometimes I choose to anyway. My ancestors are particularly in awe of the glorious sugar, salt, fat, caffeine superstimulus known as salted cheese boba milk tea. My wealth didn't happen by accident. It is the result of thousands of years of technological progress and billions of people working together to create global supply chains.
One year at Thanksgiving, my girlfriend remarked on how it was her first real Thanksgiving dinner away from family, and that it was an odd feeling to just sit down and eat without any prayer beforehand. And as she said this, it reminded me of how wrong it is to give gratitude to God for blessings that actually come from our fellow human beings putting in a great deal of work. So I at once put my hands together and said, "Dear global economy, we thank thee for thy economies of scale, thy professional specialization, and thy international networks of trade under Ricardo's law of comparative advantage, without which we would all starve to death while trying to assemble the ingredients for such a meal as this. Amen."
Landsailor, Landsailor, sail on time.
shapeless and faceless, tireless and seamless behind these walls. This is my progress when you don't notice my lines at all. Split the world open, delve ever deeper in my alchemic arts. Crack the ciphers and free us your mind, your life, your heart. I'm your Landsailor in the bed that we made. May every nail be sure. Great life bringer, the price that we pay. Time that you made it known. I want to be your bride in full. Shield your eyes no more. Oh, I am altered now for good. Shield these eyes no more.
But not everything we do together is as grand as space exploration or global supply chains. Sometimes our projects are as small and as important as making sure the cattle have enough water to drink.
Now the stock has started dying, for the Lord has sent a drought. But we're sick of prayers and providence, we're gonna do without. With the derricks up above us and the solid earth below, we are waiting at the lever for the word to let her go. Sinking down, deeper down, oh we'll sink it deeper down. As the drill is plugging down, we're at 1,000 feet of level. If the Lord won't send us water, oh we'll get it from the devil. Yes, we'll get it from the devil deeper down. Now our engine's built in Glasgow by a very canny Scot, and he marked it 20 horsepower, but he didn't know what's what. When Canadian Bill is firing with the sun-dried György logs, she can equal 30 horses and a score or so of dogs. Sinking down, deeper down, oh we're going deeper down. If we fail to get the water, then it's ruin to the squatter. For the drought is on the station and the weather's growing hotter, but we're bound to get the water deeper down. But the shaft has started caving and the sinking's very slow, and the yellow rods are bending in the water down below, and the tubes are always jamming and they can't be made to shift, till we nearly burst the engine with a 40 horsepower lift. Sinking down, deeper down, oh we're going deeper down. Though the shaft is always caving and the tubes are always jamming, yet we'll fight our way to water while the stubborn drill is ramming, while the stubborn drill is ramming deeper down. But there's no artesian water, though we're past 3,000 feet, and the contract price is growing and the boss is nearly beat. But it must be down beneath us, and it's down we've got to go, though she's bumping on the solid rock 4,000 feet below. Sinking down, deeper down, oh we're going deeper down, and it's time they heard us knocking on the roof of Satan's dwelling. We'll get artesian water if we cave the roof of Herod, oh we'll get artesian water deeper down. with a wild, exultant blast, and the boys are madly cheering, for they've struck the flow at last, and it's rushing up the tubing from 4,000 feet below, till it spouts above the casing in a 1,000,000-gallon flow. And it's down, deeper down, oh, it comes from deeper down. It is flowing, ever flowing, in a free, unstinted measure, from the silent, hidden places where the old earth hides her treasure, where the old earth hides her treasure deeper down. And it's clear away the timber, and it's let the water run, how it glimmers in the shadow, how it flashes in the sun, by the silent belts of timber, by the miles of blazing rain, it is bringing hope and comfort to the thirsty land again. Flowing down, further down, it is flowing further down, to the tortured, thirsty cattle, bringing gladness in its going. Through the droughty days of summer, it is flowing, ever flowing, it is flowing, ever flowing further down. It is flowing, ever flowing further down.
A friend raised some questions about my decision to include Song of the Artesian Waters. She pointed out that it takes millions of years to replenish that artesian water that feeds the cattle for only a season. This song glorifies environmental devastation and colonialism. You know it's a real holiday when we're singing songs we don't really endorse because they're incredible bangers. I kept it because many of the grand and glorious things we do together have their dark sides. The backdrop of the space race was the Cold War, the closest humanity has ever come to nuclear Armageddon. After the United States won, we never put a person on the moon again. It seems like this bird only wants to learn to fly if there's a nestling it can beat to it. The global economy that brings me my deep winter strawberries has caused mass extinctions and climate change, and far too many don't experience its benefits. Landsailor asks that our eyes no longer be shielded from the price we've paid. The next speech is about the ambiguity of technology, its costs and its comfort.
There are the nights full of invective and hate, and days I can only see the flaws in our world and feel my own flaw from within. And there is so much fear as I turn my daughter out into a sick, denuded, and dying world. The land will drown. The seas could turn acid and burn us from above while starving us from within. At any moment, we could still be consumed by a nuclear fire, an accidental holdover from the Cold War we failed to wrap up, like a binge drinker or a gambling addict who gets sober but can't face the past and lets it fester. All these grown-up monsters from my grown-up mind, they are there in the nights I wake up terrified and taunted by death, when I feel so small and broken, when despair and terror take me. I have a secret tool, a talisman against the night. I don't use it too often so that it doesn't lose its power. I learned it on airplanes, which are strange and thrilling and full of fear and boredom and discomfort. When I am very frightened, I look out the window on airplanes and I say, very quietly, I have seen the tops of clouds. And I have. In all the history of humanity, I am one of the few that has seen the tops of clouds. Many would have died to do so, and some did. I have seen them many times. I have seen the earth from space and spun it around like a god to see what's on the other side. We are the only consciousness we've ever found that has looked deep into the infinite dark. And instead of dark, we saw galaxies, galaxies, suns and worlds beyond number. We have looked into our world and found atoms, atomic forces, systems that dance to the glorious music of the universe. We have seen actual wonders that verge on the ineffable. We have coined a word for the ineffable. We have coined thousands of words for the ineffable. In our pain, we find a kind of magic. In our worst and meanest specimens, we find the flesh of a common human story. We are red with it. I know mysteries that great philosophers would have died for, just to have them whispered in their dying ears. I can look them up on my smartphone. I live in the middle of miracles, conceptions and magics easily worth many lifetimes to learn, from which I can pick and choose. I have wisdom and knowledge poured around me like a river, more than I could learn in 1,000 lifetimes, and I'm still alive. It is good that I am alive. It is good that we are alive. Even if we kill ourselves off with nuclear fire or gray goo or drown ourselves in stinking acid oceans, it is good that we have lived, that we did all of this, and that we grew into what we are and learned to dream of what we could be. The only thing we can say for sure is that we will die, but we will die having gone so far above our primordial ponds and primate forests that we saw the tops of clouds. It is good that in the body of this weak and tender African animal, a piece of the universe has gazed upon itself. This tiny appendage of existence looked on everything its eyes and tools could drink in and experienced the most pure of wonder, the most terrible of awe. It is worth it, all of it, to even for a moment be the universe gazing upon itself. We reached so far above our biological fate that we spoke love to life, all life, and to its dark universal womb. That takes away the fear for me. Not all of it, but enough so I can give my sleeping daughter a cuddle and fall asleep to dream dreams of what we'll do next, how we'll live this hope.
The world is awful. The world is better. The world can be much better. The world is in danger. One way or another, we all have to come to terms with these 4 facts. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's come to terms with them through doom scrolling. Swipe, children dying for want of a $5 medication. Swipe, chickens trapped in cages the size of a sheet of paper. Swipe, thousands of people sleep on the street in one of the wealthiest metro areas in the world. Swipe, my friend's life is a wreck in a way I can do nothing to help. Swipe, rise of global authoritarianism. Swipe, imminent robot apocalypse. Swipe, my favorite author just got me too'd. It's just one damn thing after another.
One damn thing after another. Trouble's gotta stand in line. You stick with me, we'll get through this together, taking one damn thing at a time. There was the thing with the ceiling. There was the thing with the floor. There was the thing with the funny kind of feeling in an ambulance at 3:45. One damn thing after another. Trouble's gotta stand in line. Oh, stick with me, we'll get through this together, taking one damn thing at a time. There was the thing with the plumbing. There was the thing with those guys. There was the thing that we kinda saw coming, and the thing that was a total surprise. One damn thing after another. Trouble's gotta stand in line. Oh, stick with me, we'll get through this together, taking one damn thing at a time. One damn thing, one damn thing. We can make it if we take it just one damn thing at a time. There was the thing with the really bad decision, and the thing that just gave us the blues. The thing with the thing that wound up on television and every damn thing in the news. One damn thing after another. Trouble's gotta stand in line. Oh, stick with me, we'll get through this together, taking one damn thing at a time. One damn thing, one damn thing. We can make it if we take it just one damn thing at a time. If we take it just one damn thing at a time. One damn thing after another. Don't you let it get you down. 'Cause every day that brings another damn thing is the day that we're still above ground. One damn thing after another. Trouble's gotta stand in line. Oh, stick with me, we'll get through this together, taking one damn thing at a time. Oh, stick with me. Together, take one. We can make it if we take it just one damn thing at a time. We can make it if we take it just one damn thing at a time.
I think this is the part where I'm supposed to tell everyone to take heroic responsibility and make an impossible effort and save the world. What would Harry James Potter Evans Ferris do? If you don't get that reference, ask someone at the after party, they'll tell you. And tell you. And tell you. But I'm not Harry James Potter Evans Ferris. If I were in Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, I'd be the random Ravenclaw who says 2 sentences in chapter 72. The problems are very big, and I am very little, and I am not very good at things. In the face of all those damn things that come one right after another, I feel completely helpless. I think a lot of people here are in the same boat as me. Maybe you're also facing down world problems of unimaginable scope. Maybe your problems are small and personal. But I think a lot of us have problems that we could fix or at least make progress on if we were smarter or harder working or more determined or kinder or more self-controlled, or just better? If you are in this position, please be kind to yourself.
Self-compassion is not the same thing as self-pity, and nor is it the same thing as making excuses for yourself. It is well possible to feel self-compassion even while thinking that you are not moving fast enough. It is perfectly possible to feel self-compassion even as you notice that you're completely failing to act as you wish to. For example, imagine someone going through boot camp in World War II, filled with resolve and determination to become a soldier and defend the free world. Except they are a small person, and a weak one. Imagine them working their heart out, trying as hard as they can, and failing anyway. Imagine them failing to make the cut. Now, can you imagine feeling compassion for them, feeling warmth towards them, and maybe feeling a hint of sadness for their loss, without feeling any sense of pity? Compassion for yourself can be similar, without any hint of pity. Or imagine another person going through the same boot camp, who really wants to defend the free world with all their peers on some level, but who lacks the deep drive. They want to feel the same passion and fire as their diminutive counterpart, but instead they feel resistance and suffer from depression. And every day they drag themselves out of bed, slightly too late, and every day they force themselves through the obstacle courses, but not quickly enough, and they aren't going to make the cut, and they're sick with guilt about it. Can you imagine feeling compassion for them in their plight while making absolutely no excuses for their performance? Again, self-compassion can be the same way. You don't need to make excuses for yourself to take the outside view and feel the same warmth for a monkey that's trying to try against the gradient of depression and doubt. Now imagine someone else doing what you're trying to do. Imagine them working on hard problems and putting in what effort they can muster. Sometimes it is enough, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes they are highly motivated, other times they are blocked by their own mind and unable to act as they wish. Look at them and see the fragile monkey trying to build a satisfactory life, trying to improve their world. See if you can feel compassion for them. You don't need to pity them. You don't need to make excuses for their failures. You don't need to find ways they could improve. Simply see if you can feel some warmth for a fellow lost monkey. And then shift your gaze to yourself and see if you can feel a similar sort of warmth.
We're approaching the moment of darkness, so please hold your applause until after the song Ballad of Smallpox Gone. I also want to give a content note that our darkness speech this year involves very explicit discussion of suicide. So if that bothers you, or you're not up for darkness tonight for any reason, please feel free to head outside now. We'll send someone out to fetch you when it's all over. You can always try. And if you can't try, you can try to try. And if you can't see your way to trying, and you can't see your way to trying to try, you can at least try to try to try. This isn't a technique for all problems. In fact, it isn't a technique for most problems. The art of giving up is important. But if something really matters to you, your kids or your company or your art, being happy when everything in the world is stacked against you, or, God help us, saving the world, you can keep going. If you can't full-ass it, half-ass. If you can't half-ass, quarter-ass. If you can't do it the normal way, try a weird way. Grit your teeth and keep going. And if you can't do that, grit your teeth and keep going at being the kind of person who can grit their teeth and keep going. Drag yourself out of bed, even if it's too late, and force yourself through the obstacle course, even if it's too slow. And don't cut yourself from the team until the team cuts you. As Samuel Beckett said, ever tried, ever failed. No matter. Try again, fail again, fail better. Our next song is a song about trying. You can try to sing it. Good luck!
Instead of a bone, humankind, as the sailor embarking without hope of a safe way home. Keep in mind, the moon makes paler what is dark and what is hoped by the sea alone. Humankind, as the sailor embarking without hope of a safe way home. The size of the storm that is buffeting us is absolutely huge and enormously dangerous. We who rescue others, lovers, sons and mothers now, we feel like the orphans ourselves. Ties that bind, knots that fail, or a scrimshaw carved in soap instead of a bone. Humankind, as the sailor embarking without hope of a safe way home. Keep in mind, the moon makes paler what is dark and what is soaked by the sea alone. Humankind, as the sailor embarking without hope of a safe way home. If we don't keep up the grind, I will surely fall behind. Wave after wave right into my face. Humankind of one mind, set adrift to ride the storm. Ties that bind, knots that fail, or a scrimshaw carved in soap instead of a bone. Humankind, as the sailor embarking without hope of a safe way home. Keep in mind, the moon makes paler what is dark and what is soaked by the sea alone. Humankind, as the sailor embarking without hope of a safe way home.
What resembles the grave, but isn't. Always falling into a hole, then saying, okay, this is not your grave, get out of this hole. Getting out of the hole which is not the grave, falling into a hole again, saying, okay, this is also not your grave, get out of this hole. Getting out of that hole, falling into another one. sometimes falling into a hole within a hole or many holes within holes, getting out of them one after the other, then falling again, saying, "This is not your grave, get out of the hole." Sometimes being pushed, saying, "You cannot push me into this hole, it is not my grave," and getting out defiantly, then falling into a hole again without any pushing. Sometimes falling into a set of holes whose structures are predictable, ideological, and long dug, often falling into this set of structural and impersonal holes. Sometimes falling into holes with other people saying, "This is not our mass grave, get out of this hole." All together getting out of the hole together, hands and legs and arms and human ladders of each other to get out of the hole that is not the mass grave, but that will only be gotten out of together. Sometimes the willful falling into a hole which is not the grave, because it is easier than not falling into a hole, really. But then, once in it, realizing it is not the grave, getting out of the hole eventually. Sometimes falling into a hole and languishing there for days, weeks, months, years, because while not the grave, very difficult still to climb out of, and you know after this hole there's just another and another. Sometimes surveying the landscape of holes and wishing for a high-quality final hole. Sometimes thinking of who has fallen into holes which are not graves, but might be better if they were. Sometimes too ardently contemplating the final hole while trying to avoid the provisional ones. Sometimes dutifully falling and getting out, with perfect fortitude, saying, "Look at the skill and spirit with which I rise from that which resembles the grave but isn't."
Samuel Beckett, originator of the line "Fail Better," was a very depressing person. Essayist Ned Bowman said, "Watching a liturgy from such a gloomy and merciless author getting repurposed to cheer up mid-level executives is like watching a neighbor clear out their gutters with a stick they found in the garden, not realizing the stick is, in fact, a human shin bone." In its context, fail better didn't mean keep trying and you'll succeed. It meant your failure is inevitable, all human activity is futile, and yet we keep struggling on, grasping at whatever shards of desperate hope we can muster. The universe is not a third-grade teacher or a video game designer. It is under no obligations to give us problems we can solve or goals we can achieve. The world is awful. We may not be able to fix it. The world was once worse. We can do nothing about the suffering that has passed. The world could be better. There is no guarantee it will be. The world is in danger. We may not be able to save it. And the universe is not a video game designer or a third-grade teacher. It is under no obligation to make sure that all the fighters are balanced and everyone can contribute equally to the group project. These problems we're facing may require skills and abilities that are not yours and will never be. And yet, we can try, or try to try, or try to try to try. We can pick ourselves up out of that which resembles the grave but isn't. And when we can't win, we can fail better.
textbooks measure. Let all who build beware. The load, the shock, the pressure, material can bear. So when the buckled girder lets down the grinding span, the blame of loss or murder is laid upon the man, not on the steel, the man. But in our daily dealing with stone and steel we find gods have no such feeling of justice toward mankind. To no set gauge they make us, for no laid course prepare. In time may overtake us with loads we cannot bear, too merciless to bear. The prudent textbooks give it in tables at the end. The stress that shears a rivet or makes a tie bar bend. What traffic wrecks macadam, what concrete should endure. But we poor sons of Adam have no such literature to warn us or make sure. We hold all earth to plunder, all time and space as well. To wonder still, to wonder at each new miracle, till in the mid-illusion of godhood neath our hand falls multiple confusion on all we did or planned. The mighty works we planned, we only in creation. How much luckier the bridge and rail abide the twin damnation to fail and know we fail. Yet we, by which sole token we know we once were gods, take shame in being broken, however great the odds, the burden or the odds. O veiled and secret power, whose paths we seek in vain, be with us in our hour of overthrow and pain, that we, by which sure token we know thy ways are true, in spite of being broken, or because of being broken, may rise and build anew. Stand up and build anew.
When I was 14 years old, I wanted to be a biomedical engineer. I was going to solve aging. I'd just read the sequences, and I knew death was the most important problem in the world. Old age is by far the leading cause of death. If nothing else in the world gets you, your own failing body will get you in the end. I wasn't wedded to biomedical engineering, of course. Maybe uploading would save us, or cryonics. So, I had a lot of possible futures. All I had to do was force myself through a lot of labs, learn engineering, possibly get a medical degree, and it was worth it, right? This is the most important thing in the world. Of course it's worth it. High school was hell. Not in a high-octane way. I can't remember a lot of it, actually. Wake up, skip breakfast, do homework in class, skip lunch to do homework, doze off in class, go home, sleep until dinner time, eat, screw around online until dawn, get maybe an hour of sleep, have panic attacks in class, have panic attacks at home, get a lecture about how bad my grades are and how I really need to apply myself. Believe it or not, I was in the honors program. 3 years of this. And then one day we had an assignment. I hardly remember what it was. Write a paragraph about the recent class trip or something. I failed to write it. I pretended to be sick and stayed home, and still didn't write it. 2-3 days I went, refusing to go to school, not writing that paragraph. I fantasized about breaking my own fingers. I fantasized about checking into a mental hospital. I fantasized about ending up in a coma and skipping the entire rest of high school. I was on antidepressants at the time. I wasn't allowed the whole bottle, just my weekly pill container, which was smart of them, because that night I took everything in it at once. I woke up feeling nauseous. At the time, this felt like the worst possible outcome. Fast forward a few years. I started what would be my last semester of college with a 1.5 GPA, which was something like an accomplishment. I spent all my time in my room or the library, except to attend a once-a-week linguistics class that didn't demand homework or tests, and to get tea on Fridays with the Hillel student advisor, who was, at that point, my only friend. I slept through my alarm enough that my roommate asked me to get rid of the alarm. After that, I slept through the afternoon every day, and then went to the library at night. My roommate complained that opening the door late at night woke her up, so I started pulling all-nighters at the library and coming back when the sun came up. I found out I was going to lose my scholarship. I didn't know how to get a job. I didn't know what to do. So I took the only way out I could find. There's something clarifying about a suicide attempt. You know, in a way you can never know otherwise, where the line is. I had slipped accidentally from life into death, and then again, accidentally, back into life. It's like a doctor's note. Sorry, I can't save the world today. I'm allergic. A few months ago, I was reminded that there are effective altruist organizations that recommend careers. I remember lying in bed, staring at the listing for undercover investigator at a factory farm. You secretly film the animals at a factory farm to document animal abuse. For once in my life, I was looking at an important job, and I fit the profile almost perfectly. No math, no paperwork, no complex decisions, just working long, hard hours, taking moral damage over and over again. I was basically doing that already. I worked at a school. And everyone would agree that I was the coolest and bravest and most badass person they knew. I watched the video. It made me want to vomit. So no factory farm exposés, at least not for now. For now, I've got a better job as an assistant teacher, part-time, minimum wage, teaching kids to read and do math on a good day, keeping them from killing each other on a bad one. I do not make a visible change in the quality of our world. And all around me, every minute, thousands of humans die, billions of animals are tortured, the world gets warmer. We are poised on the brink of annihilation 6 different ways. I do what I can. It is not very much. It is not nearly enough. I can only hope that I'm doing the very best I can.
We will never know their names. The first victim could not have been recorded, for there was no written language to record it. They were someone's daughter or son, and they were someone's friend, and they were loved by those around them, and they were in pain, covered in rashes, confused, scared, not knowing why this was happening to them or what they could do about it. Victims of a mad, inhuman God. There was nothing to be done. Humanity was not strong enough, not aware enough, not knowledgeable enough to fight back against a monster that could not be seen. It was in ancient Egypt where it attacked slave and pharaoh alike. In Rome, it effortlessly decimated armies. It killed in Syria. It killed in Moscow. In India, 5 million dead. It killed 1,000 Europeans every day in the 18th century. It killed more than 10 million Native Americans. From Peloponnesian War to Civil War, it slew more soldiers and civilians than any weapon, any soldier, any army. Not that this stopped the most foolish and empty souls from attempting to harness the demon as a weapon against their enemies. Cultures grew and faltered, and it remained. Empires rose and fell, and it thrived. Ideologies waxed and waned, but it did not care. Kill, maim, spread, an ancient mad god hidden from view that could not be fought, could not be confronted, could not even be comprehended. Not the only one of its kind, but the most devastating. For a long time, there was no hope, only the bitter, hollow endurance of survivors. In China, in 15th century, humanity began to fight back. It was observed that survivors of the Mad God's curse would never be touched again. They had taken a portion of that power unto themselves and were so protected from it. Not only that, but this power could be shared by consuming a remnant of the wounds. There was a price, for you could not take the god's power without first defeating it, but a smaller battle on humanity's terms. By 16th century, the technique spread to India, then across Asia, the Ottoman Empire, and in 18th century, Europe. In 1796, a more powerful technique was discovered by Edward Jenner. An idea began to take hold. Perhaps the ancient god could be killed. A whisper became a voice became a call became a battle cry, sweeping across villages, cities, nations. Humanity began to cooperate, spreading the protective power across the globe, dispatching masters of the craft to protect whole populations. People who had once been sworn enemies joined in a common cause for this one battle. Governments mandated that all citizens protect themselves. Forgiving the ancient enemy a single life would put millions in danger. And inch by inch, humanity drove its enemy back. Fewer friends wept, fewer neighbors were crippled, fewer parents had to bury their children. And at the dawn of the 20th century, for the first time, humanity banished enemy from the entire regions of the world. Humanity faltered many times in its efforts, but there were individuals who never gave up, who fought for the dream of a world where no child or a loved one would ever fear the demon ever again. Viktor Zhdanov, who called for humanity to unite in a final push against the demon. The great tactician, Karol Rashka, who conceived of a strategy to annihilate the enemy. Donald Henderson, who led the efforts in those final days. The enemy grew weaker. Millions became thousands. Thousands became dozens. And then, when the enemy did strike, scores of humans came forth to defy it, protecting all those whom it might endanger. The enemy's last attack in the wild was on Ali Maumalin in 1977. For months afterwards, dedicated humans swept surrounding area, seeking out any last desperate hiding place where the enemy might yet remain. They found none. 45 years ago, on December 9th, 1979, humanity declared victory. This one evil, this horror from beyond memory, the monster that took 500 million people from this world, was destroyed.
Plague is dead. The smallpox plague is dead. No more children dying hard. No more victims living scarred with the mark of the devil's kiss. We still may die from other things, but we will not die of this. Raise your glasses high for all who will not die. To all the doctors, nurses too, and all the lab technicians who drove it into the ground. If the human race does nothing else, we cut this terror down. Now scarce the headline said, the ancient foe is dead. Then they spoke of curses new, AIDS and SARS, Ebola too, and COVID rages on. 10 new plagues may take its place, but at least this one is gone. Old King Plague is dead, the smallpox plague is dead. No more children dying hard, no more victims living scarred with the marks of the devil's kiss. We still may die of other things, but we will not die of this, so no. We still may die of other things, but we will not die of this.
There are no heroes of smallpox eradication. Oh, we can try, and 500 million does. But it's difficult to get around the fact that most of the people it names are not grand visionaries or noble paladins, but kind of boring bureaucrats. The sort of people who, in a different world, would be defining exactly what percentage of strawberries a dessert needs to legally label itself as a strawberry pie. And most of the work wasn't done by any named individual. It was done by healthcare worker 246, and CDC employee 73, and vaccine factory worker 4745. You did a great job, 4745. Huge fan of how diligent you were about quality control. That stuff's going into people's arms, and we don't want to cut corners. Novels and movies and TV shows have heroes. In a Marvel movie, the world is saved by Captain America alone, and if it's a really big problem, he calls in the other 5 Avengers. This is because we are monkeys, and we like reading about other monkeys and their monkey problems, and we get a bit confused if there are more than about 20 important names. Real life sometimes has heroes. We actually might not have mRNA vaccines right now without Kathleen Carrico's work. But in real life, we most often achieve greatness because an enormous number of normal, ordinary people worked together. Smallpox was eradicated by bureaucrats. And epidemiologists, and healthcare workers, and PSA writers, and contact tracers, and syringe manufacturers. The global supply chain is maintained by truck drivers, and airplane mechanics, and warehouse managers, and logistics engineers, and sales forecasters, and sysadmins. The Apollo program required scientists and engineers and human computers and manufacturers and the guy that swept the goddamn floors. Here are the stories of some ordinary people.
Carpathia received Titanic's distress signal at 12:20 a.m., April 15th, 1912. She was 58 miles away, a distance that absolutely could not be covered in less than 4 hours. Carpathia's Captain Rostron had rolled out of bed instantly when woken by his radio operator. He ordered his ship to Titanic's aid and confirmed the signal before he was fully dressed. The man had never in his life responded to an emergency call. His goal tonight was to make sure nobody who heard that fact would ever believe it. Carpathia had 3 dining rooms, which were immediately converted into triage and first aid stations. Each had a doctor assigned to it. Hot soup, coffee, and tea were prepared in bulk in each dining room, and blankets and warm clothes were collected to be ready to hand out. By this time, many of the passengers were awake. Prepping a ship for disaster relief isn't quiet, and all of them stepped up to help, many donating their own clothes and blankets. And then he did something I tend to refer to as diverting all power from life support. Here's the thing about steamships. They run on steam. Shocking, I know, but steam powers everything on the ship, and right now Carpathia needed power. So Rostron turned off hot water and central heating, which bled valuable steam power to everywhere but the dining rooms. He woke up all the engineers, all the stokers and firemen, diverted all that steam back into the engines, and asked his ship to go as fast as she possibly could. And when she'd done that, he asked her to go faster. I need you to understand that you simply can't push a ship very far past its top speed. Pushing that much sheer tonnage through the water becomes harder with each extra knot past the speed it was designed for. Pushing a ship past its rated speed is not only reckless, it's difficult to maneuver, but it puts an incredible amount of strain on the engines. Ships are not designed to exceed their top speed by even 1 knot. They can't do it. It can't be done. Carpathia's absolute do-or-die, the engines can't take this forever, top speed was 14 knots. Dodging icebergs in the dark and the cold, surrounded by mist, she sustained a speed of almost 17 and a half. They damn near broke the laws of physics, galloping north headlong into the dark in desperate hope that if they could shave an hour, half an hour, 5 minutes off their arrival time, maybe for one more person, those 5 minutes would make the difference. 3 people had died by the time they were lifted from the lifeboats. For all we know, another hour it might have been more. This ship and her crew received a message from a location they could not hope to reach in under 4 hours. Just barely over 3 hours later, they arrived at Titanic's last known coordinates. In total, 705 people of Titanic's original 2,208 were brought onto Carpathia alive. No other ship would find survivors. At 12:20 a.m., April 15th, 1912, there was a miracle on the North Atlantic, and it happened because a group of humans, some of them strangers, many of them only passengers on a small and unimpressive steamliner, looked at each other and decided, I cannot live with myself if I do anything less.
The first malaria vaccine was invented in 1967. The first malaria vaccine was approved in 2021. The same team that invented the vaccine in 1967 shepherded it all the way to 2021, at least depending on your opinion of the ship of Theseus problem. They spent a decade figuring out how to make a vaccine that was delivered through a shot, instead of through being bitten by tens to hundreds of X-ray weakened malaria-infected mosquitoes. The team went through so many human challenge trials that they ran out of potential subjects at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research and had to start recruiting from the local community. Even when the first fully functional non-mosquito delivered vaccine was invented in 1997, it turned out it only worked on children who have a stronger immune response than adults. GlaxoSmithKline, which was funding the vaccine development, would not make a profit off a vaccine for children. A malaria vaccine for adults can be given to developed world travelers. A vaccine for kids, only to children in some of the world's poorest countries. GlaxoSmithKline agreed to continue the research, but only if philanthropists agreed to fund it, which the Gates Foundation did. And then, for 20 years, from 2001 to 2021, dozens of scientists from around the world and innumerable healthcare workers and clerks and vaccine manufacturers, not to mention every person who volunteered for the trials, conducted phase 2 and phase 3 trials before the vaccine was finally approved. And meanwhile, a British team, taking advantage of 20 years of research advances since 1997, invented a modified version of the vaccine that was twice as effective, and which was approved in 2023. Even 1997 isn't the beginning of the story. You can start when the malaria parasite was discovered in 1880. Or in 1948, when 2 scientists spent 2 years in the Congo catching wild rats until they found one that was infected with a species of the malaria parasite they could use as an animal model in the lab. Or in 1964, when other scientists finally realized that the reason they couldn't make the animal model work in the lab was that the relevant species of Plasmodium only transmitted to rats in relatively cool temperatures. All along, the labs had been too hot. We often think of scientific advances as being made by a lone genius. We want to know who really discovered the steam engine, who really discovered plate tectonics, and who really created the internet. And sometimes there is a lone genius, but more often, especially today, discoveries are made bit by dozens or hundreds of people. And it doesn't feel grand or heroic if your contribution is testing dozens of malaria vaccines that will not work. Much less, the reason our lab models weren't working is that the laboratories have been the wrong temperature for the past 16 years. But all the contributions are necessary. No one discovered the malaria vaccine. Not really. But it was discovered all the same. Our next song is Battle Hymn of the Republic of Letters. This year we're trying something new, where the choir and the audience sing. So if you've been coming for years, you need to update and no longer stay silent when faced with the choir. We're doing this one together.
They
The 18th century Quaker John Woolman was one of the most extra historical figures I've ever heard of. As a teenager, he stewed in guilt because, unlike all the great Quaker martyrs of old, he hadn't once stormed off to Massachusetts to get tortured to death by Puritans for his beliefs. He didn't even want to get tortured to death by Puritans for his beliefs. So, we've all met that guy. As an adult, he devoted himself to traveling from Quaker meeting to Quaker meeting, urging people to oppose slavery. He was the all-time champion of convincing people to free their slaves. As just one example, someone asked him to write their will, and instead he convinced them to free all the people they'd enslaved. Twice. It's difficult to overstate how much Woolman hated doing anti-slavery activism. For most of the last decade of his life, he was clearly severely depressed. He hated traveling, the harshness of life on the road, being away from his family, the risk of bringing home smallpox, which terrified him. But most of all, he hated what he felt called to do. He was naturally gentle, soft-spoken, and agreeable. All he wanted was to be able to have pleasant conversations with people who were nice to him. But instead he felt God had called him to be an Old Testament prophet, thundering about God's judgment and the need for repentance. His successes were hard-earned and isolated, and they did nothing to stem the growth of slavery in America. He wrote pamphlets, gave speeches, participated at Quaker meetings, and everyone nodded along and said that it was interesting food for thought, and went home and beat their slaves. He died in 1772, believing himself a failure. 4 years later, Woolman's home meeting in Philadelphia banned Quakers from owning slaves. 4 more years later, Pennsylvania would become the very first polity in the history of the world to completely ban slavery. Woolman's writings and speeches persuaded people in Britain and France, who went on to found anti-slavery movements in their own countries. Woolman's writings were instrumental in convincing Tsar Alexander III to free the Russian serfs. The anti-slavery movement was made of hundreds of thousands of Woolmans, most of whom didn't write books, so we don't remember their names. It was made up of preachers and politicians and writers and activists, and of course the slaves themselves, who resisted domination in 1,000 ways. It was made up of every participant in the late 18th century sugar boycott, one of the largest boycotts in history. It was made up of those who risked arrest smuggling slaves to freedom on the Underground Railroad. It was made up of soldiers who fought and killed and died for others' freedom. And it was made up of ordinary people who voted against slavery and talked to their friends about abolitionism and didn't eat sugar and didn't think they were doing much at all, really. Today, there are still millions of slaves, often slaves whose slavery is de facto endorsed by their governments. But since 1981, slavery of non-prisoners has been abolished on every inch of dirt in the entire world, something that was never before true in recorded human history. There is still work to do, but John Woolman didn't die a failure. John Woolman won.
Sometimes I imagine an enormous tower built by everyone who is trying to make the world better. Some people contribute thousands of bricks. Other people, working as hard as they can, only manage a pebble or two. Some people put on one brick and then go do something else with their lives. A lot of people care about the tower for itself, but a lot of them are just in it for money or status or their passion for brickmaking. Some people put their bricks somewhere that certainly helps, but that isn't where we'd be putting them if we wanted to get this tower built as fast as possible. And some people are confused about the building plan and put their bricks somewhere that topples an entire wall, and we're set back years trying to fix it. And yet, in spite of everything, it keeps growing, this tower, year by year. We're pretty high up now. Someday it's going to touch the sky.
Our new world is so close. Mars has treasures we're only just starting to find. Frozen mountains and crimson dust waiting for footprints that will not be mine. 100 years to run the first test, another to raise the first dough. The moon, then Mars, then Titan next, a lifetime to touch each new home. And I want it so much. Close my eyes, I can taste the Mars dust in the air. In the darkness, the space stations shimmer in orbits that I will not share. But I'll teach the student who'll manage the factory that tempers the steel that makes colonies strong. And I'll write the program that runs the computer that charts out the stars where our rockets belong. It'll never get easy to wake from my dream when the future I dream of is so far away. But I am willing to sacrifice something I don't have for something I won't have, but somebody will someday. And it feels like a waste, all this working and waiting and battling time, and all for a kingdom that all of my efforts will never make mine. But brick by brick the pyramids rose, with most hidden under the sand. So life by life the project grows in ways I might not understand. I am voyaging too. We will need the foundation as much as the dome for those worlds to come true. And I'll clerk the office that handles the funding, that raises the tower, that watches the sky. And I'll staff the bookstore that carries the journal that sparks the idea that makes solar sails fly. It takes so many sailors to conquer an ocean, and so many more when it's light years away. But I am willing to sacrifice something I don't have for something I won't have, but somebody will someday. And I know we won't stop. We've planned too many wonders for one little star. Though often the present may seem too complacent to take us that far. And I'll mind the children, and I'll make the phone calls, and I'll speak the words that will challenge the doubt. And I'll host the solstice that summons the family, that carries the fire that never burns out. There are so many chances to give up the journey, especially when it's so easy to stay. But I am willing to sacrifice something I don't have for something I won't have. And not only me, but we are willing to sacrifice something we don't have for something we won't have, so somebody will Somebody will someday.
I donate 10% of my income, and I write my silly little blog posts, and I take care of my kid, and I try my best to be kind, and it seems so small in the face of all the problems there are in the world. And then I look around and see all the people working to make this world better, building startups, researching AI safety, raising children, writing books, treating patients, donating to the Against Malaria Foundation or the Humane League or their local homeless shelter, just trying to survive until tomorrow. There's an interesting fact about numbers that my son keeps telling me, which is that if you take a small positive number and you multiply it by a large positive number, you get a very large number indeed.
Say to me, oh, you gotta be crazy. How can you sing in times like these? Don't you read the news? Don't you know the score? How can you sing when so many others grieve? People say to me, what kind of fool believes that a song will make a difference in the end? By way of a reply, I say a fool such as I, who sees a song as somewhere to begin. A song is somewhere to begin, the search for something worth believing in. If changes are to come, there are things that must be done, and a song is somewhere to begin. People say to me, oh, you gotta be crazy. How can you dream in times like these? Don't you read the news? Don't you know the score? How can you dream when so many others grieve? People say to me, what kind of fool believes that a dream will make a difference in the end? By way of a reply, I say a fool such as I, who sees a dream as somewhere to begin. A dream is somewhere to begin, the search for something worth believing in. If changes are to come, there are things that must be done, and a dream is somewhere to begin. People say to me, oh, you gotta be crazy. How can you love in times like these? Don't you read the news? Don't you know the score? How can you love when so many others grieve? People say to me, what kind of fool believes that love will make a difference in the end? By way of a reply, I say a fool such as I, who sees love as somewhere to begin. Love is somewhere to begin, the search for something worth believing in. If change changes are to come. There are things that must be done, and love is somewhere, and a dream is somewhere, and a song is somewhere to begin.
People hate the idea of talent. If everything is hard work and positive thinking, you can do those things and be the coolest person in the world. If there's such a thing as innate aptitude, what about people who don't have it? There's an old proverb, everybody has people who are worse than them, and everyone has people who are better than them, with 2 exceptions. Once you absorb that, and you realize that we're all in the not the coolest person in the world boat together, with 1 exception, then I think some of these worries start to lose their sting. Like, some people who are overly kind and really like my writing sometimes say they feel intellectually inadequate compared to me. I feel intellectually inadequate when I read Scott Aronson. And Scott Aronson has said he feels intellectually inadequate when he reads Terence Tao. And Terence Tao, I don't know, maybe he feels intellectually inadequate compared to God. And God feels intellectually inadequate compared to John von Neumann. So it's tempting to wish you were John von Neumann, and then you wouldn't have to feel inadequate at all. But any system where only one person is allowed to feel adequate at a time is not a good system. So what % of people should be allowed to feel adequate? I think when you ask the question that way, it becomes obvious something is wrong with the premise. Ozzy once said that the most inspiring thing in the world is Ricardo's law of comparative advantage. This is an economics theorem that says that under ideal capitalism, even if you are the worst person in the world at literally everything, you can pursue your comparative advantage, the thing you're relatively least worst at, you can trade with other people, and you will make non-zero money. And that will be a sign that you have made non-zero positive difference in somebody's life, and they are non-zero grateful to you. I find this non-zero inspiring. I may not be John von Neumann or a star AI alignment researcher or Dustin Moskovitz. I may not even be the best at my own profession, but I can pursue my comparative advantage, and I can make non-zero difference, and I can make non-zero money. And then if I want, I can donate that money to science or AI alignment research, or the same people Dustin Moskovitz donates his money to. They can use that money to hire people with talents that I lack, and those people can do amazing things, and I can take some of the credit. And even if I had IQ 70 and my comparative advantage was ditch digging, I could still do all of these things. There's a Jewish belief that God judges everyone according to their gifts. Rabbi Zusia once said that when he died, he wasn't afraid God would ask, "Why weren't you Moses?" or "Why weren't you Solomon?" He was afraid that God would ask, "Why weren't you Rabbi Zusia?" If we are all the same people and it's all just hard work and positive thinking, then God can ask me why I wasn't Moses or why I wasn't Dustin Moskovitz, and I have nothing to say. But if we're all individuals and we all have our innate talents and aptitudes, no matter how humble, all God gets to ask me is why I wasn't Scott Alexander. That seems like a gratifyingly low bar.
The world is awful, but once it was worse. And it didn't get better by accident. And it didn't get better because we were saved by Captain America or Harry James Potter Evans Verse. It got better because a whole lot of scared, sad, weak, helpless people like you and me did their damnedest to try to make it better. The world could be better and is in danger. And if we are going to make it through the next century alive, we need every bit of help we can get. Sure, we need more Dustin Moscovitzes, if you've got any going spare. But if you're Scott Alexander, we need you to be the best damn Scott Alexander you can. And if you're a ditch digger, we need you to be the best damn ditch digger you can. And if you're a failure, in the name of God and Samuel Beckett, fail better. This is not our mass grave, and we will get out of this hole together, hands and legs and arms and human ladders of each other, and we will make tomorrow better than today.
Winter nights ago, a woman shivered in the cold, cursed the skies and wondered why the gods invented pain. Aching, angry flesh and bone, bitterly she struck the stone, till she saw the sudden spark of light and golden flame. She showed the others, but they told her she was not fit to control the primal forces that the gods had cloaked in mystery. But she would not be satisfied, and though she trembled, she defied them, took her torch and raised it high, set afire history. Tomorrow can be brighter than today, although the night is cold. The stars may seem so very far away. But courage, hope, and reason burn in every mind, each lesson learned, shining light to guide our way, make tomorrow brighter than today. Ages long forgotten now, we built the wheel and then the plow, tilled the earth and proved our worth against a drought and snow. And soon we had the time to fathom mountain peaks and tiny atoms, beating hearts, electric sparks, and so much more to know. Tomorrow can be brighter than today, although the night is cold. The stars may seem so very far away. But courage, hope, and reason grow with every passing season, so we'll drive the darkness far away, make tomorrow brighter than today. The laws of nature may not care. The storms and quakes, our own mistakes, they nearly doused our flame. But all these trials we've endured, the lessons learned, diseases cured. Against our Herculean task, we've risen to proclaim tomorrow can be brighter than today, although the night is cold. The stars may they seem so very far away. But courage, hope, and reason blew across the world, and one day soon we'll rise up to the stars and say, make tomorrow brighter than today.
In June 1832, about 3,000 Parisians staged a rebellion against the French monarchy in the name of freedom, equality, and brotherhood. They almost immediately lost. And even if they hadn't, the track record of French revolutions at this point involved more guillotines than liberty. 30 years later, Victor Hugo made the failed June Rebellion the centerpiece of Les Miserables, a novel about poverty, injustice, compassion, and redemption that soon came to be considered one of the greatest novels of the 19th century. Over a century later, as all great novels must, it received a musical theater adaptation. Shortly after, the musical was translated into English. The concluding song was "Do You Hear the People Sing?" and it developed a bit of an unusual audience. You could hear it in Hong Kong to protest Xi Jinping, and in Turkey to protest Erdogan, and in the Philippines to protest Rodrigo Duterte. You could hear it in protests of corruption in South Korea and in Ukraine, and of economic mismanagement in Sri Lanka. You could even hear it in Australia to protest the opening of a McDonald's, although I'm not sure those people understood the assignment. To me, this song says that even though we are separated by centuries and continents, we recognize the kindred words in each other's hearts. The world is awful. We will make it better. In 1800, about half of all children died before they were 15. Today, only 4% of children do. In 1800, we had never eradicated a disease. Today, we can say that beautiful phrase, smallpox was. In 1800, no countries were true liberal democracies. Today, 19% are. In 1800, about 3/4 of people lived in extreme poverty. Today, 9% do. The universe is under no obligation to give us problems that are solvable. But it's also under no obligation to give us problems that aren't.
Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? Then join in the fight that will give you the right to be free. Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Will you give all you can give so that our banner may advance? Some will fall and some will live with you. Stand up and take your chance. The blood of the martyrs will water the meadows of France. Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Do you hear the people sing?
Lost in the valley of the night, it is the music of a people who are climbing to the light. For the wretched of the earth, there is a flame that never dies. Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise.
They will live again in freedom in the garden of the Lord. We will walk behind the plowshare. We will put away the sword. The chain will be broken and all men will have their reward. Do you hear the people say, who will be strong and stand with me?
Somewhere beyond the barricade, is there the world you long to see? Do you hear the people sing? Say, do you hear the distant drums? It is the future that they bring when tomorrow comes. It is the future that they bring when tomorrow comes.
I am losing my voice, so bear with me and we'll get through this. There is an itch that drove the RMS Carpathia to defy the laws of physics, that drove the research team to try a 14th malaria vaccine when the 13th failed, that drove John Woolman to convince a slave owner to free his slaves in a single conversation, that drives people to make liberal democracies and sanitation programs and the phrase, smallpox was. We, scared and weak and imperfect as we are, try in our faltering way to care for each other.
Raise a song and so commence. Circle, grow and grow. Praise of all benevolence. Circle, grow and grow. Once a cold and silent night did the loveless stars pervade. Yet we hear of star stuff made. Cast a circle of warmer light. Circle, circle, grow and grow. So will we bring our families in, circle, grow and grow. Those whom nature made our kin, circle, grow and grow. Countless likenesses we find by our common blood bestowed. What a debt of care is owed, what a blessed tie that binds, circle, circle, grow and grow. And will we bring our neighbors in, circle, grow and grow, our expansion to begin, circle, grow and grow, bounty of the harvest sun, shelter from all hazards dire, share with each as each require, doing as you would be done, circle, circle, grow and grow. And will we bring the stranger in, circle, grow and grow, every state and speech and skin, circle, grow and grow, think upon the mystery, how alike is humankind, though manifold in face and mind, non-specific sisters we, circle, circle, grow and grow. And will we bring the far ones in? Circle, grow and grow. All who distant born have been. Circle, grow and grow. For the hands you'll never hold, for the names you'll never learn. For all far off hearts that yearn, let compassion boundless roll. Circle, circle, grow and grow. And will we bring all creatures in? Circle, grow and grow. Feather, fur, or silicon. Circle, grow and grow. Though their unseen thought beguile, strange the substrates they employ. All who suffer or enjoy our brother soul in body wild. Circle, circle, grow and grow. And will we bring the future in? Circle, grow and grow. Our time is ours to win. Circle, grow and grow. Will our children rise in power, overwhelm the starry deep? Lights unborn for you we keep. Will and hope, though dark the hour. Circle, circle, grow and grow. Circle, circle, grow and grow.
One of the more interesting books I've read is Looking Backward, a novel from 1888 about the distant utopian future of 2000. It proposes that we will eliminate positional goods by paying everyone the same salary and then get people to work terrible jobs by reducing their work hours. Clever idea, but no. But Looking Backward also predicts that in 2000, professional music would be available in your house, on demand, at the press of a button. Everyone could listen to music so beautiful that in 1888, it was reserved for the nobility alone. Not only was Looking Backward right about what would happen, it was right that it's freaking awesome. Many people here wonder a lot about what the better world will look like. I imagine our speculations will end up looking a lot like Looking Backward, half prescient and half hopelessly confused. The better future will look as strange to us as a smartphone would to a participant in the French Revolution. We don't yet know the final design of the tower we're building.
A possible child, dreaming through the longest night, a possible smile, waking to a distant light, a possible world. Tell me what you want to see. Where's that child going? Tell me who's that child gonna be in 5,000 years? What you wanna do, what you wanna see in 5,000 years? Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in another 5,000 years? If we boldly set our sights, journey through the coldest night in 5,000 years. 5,000 years. We could build a brand new home. We could raise the glass domes high. And in a century or three, our children might look at the sky, and then at last they'd see that distant yellow sun, the cradle of humanity, and all the things we might become in 5,000 years. What you want to do, what you want to see in another 5,000 years. Where we want to go, who we want to be in another 5,000 years. If we sailed across the stars, unimaginably far in 5,000 years. Oh. still might die, but maybe not. We gotta try. I don't quite know what shape we'd take. I don't quite know what world we'd make. I don't quite know how things might change. I don't quite know what rules we'd break. Our present selves might think it's strange, but there's so many lives at stake, and entropy is bearing down. But we've got tricks for sticking around, and if we live to see the day that yellow fades to red then gray, we'll take a moment, one by one, turn to face the dying sun, bittersweetly wave goodbye. The journey's only just begun in 5,000 years. What you wanna do, what you wanna see in another 5 million years. Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in another 5 billion years. When all that we once knew is gone, our legacy will carry on in 5 billion years. What you wanna do, what you wanna see in 5 billion years. Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in 5 billion years. Where we wanna go in 5 billion years. Who we wanna be.
But there is one thing I know about that strange thing, a better world. However odd its social structures or alien its inhabitants, however large its Dyson spheres or super its intelligences, people care for each other. A future without that isn't worth being called better.
Love has to begin somehow. A complex pattern must be explained by a cause that's not already that complex pattern. For love to enter the universe, it has to arise from something that is not love. If that weren't possible, then love could not be. Perhaps your children's children will ask how it is that they are capable of love. And their parents will say, because we, who also love, created you to love. And your children's children may ask, but how is it that you love? And their parents will reply, because our own parents, who loved as well, created us to love in turn. And then your children's children will ask, but where did it all begin? Where does the recursion end? And their parents will say, once upon a time, long ago and far away, there were intelligent beings who were not themselves intelligently designed. Once upon a time, there were lovers created by something that did not love. Once upon a time, when all of civilization was a single galaxy, a single star, a single planet, a place called Earth. Once upon a time, far away, ever so long ago.
The world is awful. The world is much better. The world could be better. The world is in danger. And at the end of this solstice, I'll add a fifth thing. At least right now, we're all in it together. I love you guys. When I started to spend time with the rationalists and effective altruists and various adjacents, I felt like I'd come home for the first time. All of us weird, flawed, broken people got together and we made something that makes us stronger and better and much, much more annoying about study methodology. And I believe if we're going to navigate safely through this time of troubles, it's going to be in part because of all of you in the audience today and the community we've made together. A lot of this solstice is about how everything good is a group project, and this solstice is also a group project. I'd like to thank Misha Gurovich, my logistics lead. Whenever I couldn't stand to think about something for one more minute, I would say, Misha, you do it. And it got done by magic. Thank you to Anna Chechokina, the music director. I kept saying, oh, yeah? I kept saying, I want this thing. And she said, that's impossible, and you don't know it because you don't know anything about music. And then she'd come back 3 days later and say, I figured it out. Thanks to our musicians, Buck Schleris, Eric Floyd, Lydia LaRue, and Anna again. They learned to play 15 songs in like 2 weeks. They're incredible. Thanks to all our speakers, all our song leaders, and the entire Bayesian choir. Without whom Solstice would be me standing up here yammering by myself and everyone begging me to shut up. Choir didn't get any applause after I Shall Not Live in Vain, so let's give them a round of applause now. Thanks to all of our wonderful volunteers who go so often under-recognized. And thanks to the Freight and Salvage, you guys are a fantastic venue. If you like this community as much as I do, there's an after party. It is at Lighthaven, which is 2740 Telegraph Avenue. You can get there by car or bus or walking if you really like walking. If you are driving or taking a ride share, I recommend splitting it with someone else going to the party so that there are enough ride shares for everyone. If you don't know anyone here, great news, it's a great way to meet people. Again, that's Lighthaven, 2740 Telegraph Avenue. I hope to see you all there. And before then, let's sing a last song to join together as a community in this time of dreariness and death, to put on nice clothes and feast and share stories and sing and fill our world with color and light.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow. For no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. So when there is a load you have to bear, but you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you'll just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.